Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider, PRI. We're here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. I'm Rick Gailey, the coach of PRI, along with the Prep Recruiting Insider, Renee Nadeau. And it's our special pleasure to welcome to the set Coach Nick Saltaformaggio, the head coach at Hahnville High School. Won the state championship last year at my alma mater. Yes, indeed. I went to high school and graduated at East Jefferson, and now he's up here in Hahnville. Welcome to the show, Nick. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you, Coach Gailey. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, indeed. You've had a highly successful coaching career, and you got off to a good start last week against Southern Lab, winning 42-12. But then you got a big challenge this week at home against Salmon.
Yeah, and Coach, you look at the opponent because it's on the schedule, but it's always about you. I can't do anything about Salmon or the 14, hopefully, that follow them. I can only worry about Hahnville, and hopefully we're doing the right things at school, in the classroom, in the hallway, and then obviously on the practice field that make us champions. And if we take care of ourselves, we'll be okay.
Nick, before we put the trophy under the bed, are you tired of talking about it? I know it's a different school, a different situation, but is it ever get old talking about what happened in 2013 at East Jeff?
Well, to be honest with you, it is obviously a tremendous honor, as Coach Gailey knows, and Coach Crow the same way. But, it's almost become a burden, to tell you the truth, because I don't look at myself as a state championship coach. I'm the happiest coach in the secondary. When we got to Hahnville, I brought some guys with me who were with us at East Jefferson, and people kind of view us as saviors. But you've been in this profession. You don't wave a wand and fix what's broken. It's just a lot of hard work. So for me, I don't even wear my state championship ring. I'm a Hahnville Tiger now, and my favorite colors are purple and gold. And it's just about getting Hahnville better, and hopefully we can do it this year again, because that is the one thing that does stay with you. I always wondered if, Coach JT ever got tired of doing it. When you do it, you go in one or two directions. You've either reached the pinnacle of your career and you said, I've had enough, or you're like, I need to do this again and again. And that's where I am.
You almost don't get to enjoy it as much as you would like to while you're still coaching, because you have a challenge today that you have to meet, and the off-season starts as soon as the last season ends. So you really can't spend a whole lot of time enjoying things until you're old like me, and then you can look back and say, hey, that was pretty neat.
You're right, Coach, and it was unique for me in that I changed schools. I just had an opportunity to go to a traditional Louisiana power, a community school, a school that thrives on football, a community that thrives on football. So when you say you didn't even get to experience the joy of it, I was gone from East Jefferson 3-4 weeks after it was over. And so, for me, it really is about Hahnville. About let's do this at Hahnville High School.
Now, Nick, last year, in years past, Hahnville didn't have success they've had in the past. But when you arrived, what did you find about the program, the players, that was kind of a pleasant surprise and maybe told you, this is a lot better than I thought?
Well, there were a few things. I've said this before. At Hahnville High School, it's never going to be about talent. Coach Gailey's coached against them. They have talent. We have talented players. It's not inconceivable for me to say, if we can keep certain players healthy and we continue to do the right things in the classroom and in the hallway, that the second week in December, Hahnville could play for a state championship, because the talent is on the field. The biggest surprise to me was how passionate the community is for that success. And I guess on the flip side of that coin, it amazed me that they didn't have more success, because last year, perfect example, they go 5-5, they get on a bus, travel 6.5 hours to play a very good Ouachita team and score 42 points on them. Right. So you got to wonder, when you're in that environment, what makes the switch go off and on? And that's the big test for me.
Well, you're starting to experience some of the Hahnville fans. We're just going to cover this really quick. You're going to meet all of them this Friday.
You're right, Coach.
You think you might know, you don't know yet.
Right.
It's going to be interesting. But you've made some other changes that I think are significant. You've always been known as a defensive coach. Mm-hmm. You play a 3-3 stack.
Yes, sir.
As your base defense. And you've always been an option oriented head coach as well. Talk about the challenges that you had in implementing those two systems, which are significantly different, especially the coverages in the secondary are significantly different than what they've played in the past.
Yeah, well, spoken like a true coach. People thought that installing the offense would be a more difficult task, but it really hasn't been. It's been defensively where we're meeting a lot of brick walls. We're struggling to understand the concepts of zone coverage. Three times since I've been there, we've been in ball games or scrimmages where we're playing long distance downs and people are giving us 3-by-1s and they'll take number 2 and run him across the middle at 8 yards and our free safety's flying up. And then over the backside of him is a post for a 25-yard gain. So those are the things that, you know, for me, we have to continue to correct. And you're right, going from a 4-man front to that was traditionally up the field, to an odd front where we play in everything along the line of scrimmage, trying to funnel it back inside to our linebackers. It's just, you know, for us, it's been a difficult transition. Offensively, it really hasn't been so much so. We're gifted in the offensive line. We have some very talented offensive linemen. So, and for me, that's where it all starts. It all starts at that point of attack. And our quarterback really benefited us by not playing a whole lot last year. He came from an option-oriented school, transferred into Hahnville, so he kind of picked up right where he had left off when he left John Curtis. And then, you know, to convince Ricky to move from receiver to slot wasn't as difficult. When I put his statistics up, I said, Ricky, you caught 14 balls last year. You move to a slot, you move to an A-back. In the flex, you're going to touch it 100 times. And, you know, there's not a whole lot of difference between kicking an option pitch to him as there is catching a tunnel. So it was an easy sell offensively.
Right. Well, in the last minute, real quick, how good can this team be? We got about a minute left.
I absolutely think we can play for the state championship. There's no doubt in my mind. The front 5 on our schedule are pretty rough. We're going to know next week. We have Salmon, a traditionally good football team, but the next week is Rummel, and that's your litmus test. Because if you can beat Rummel, then the next 8 guys in the regular season aren't going to be any better than Rummel, and you can look your kids in the eye every single day and say, "Hey, you beat Rummel. You've beaten a team that's equal to Destrehan. You've beaten a team that's equal to East St. John. You've beaten a team that's equal to Walker Landry every single week." So these next 2 weeks are big for us. But we want to be better in November than we are today.
That's right. Well, it's good to be positive right now, Coach. This is week 1, as you should be. We're at NOLA Motorsports Park here in Hahnville, where you can enjoy recreational karting for all ages. Go to nolamotor.com, find out all the great things out here. Coach Salt, thanks for being here today. Thanks for being your players. You got a tough act to follow with some of the great coaches they've had at Hahnville. Let's hope that you can put your name up on the banner as well.
I hope so. Thank you, Coach.
We'll be back with PRI after this quick timeout.